All right, so we're here with the new Sports and Recreation Minister designate, the Honourable Member of Parliament for BM constituency, Kofi Adams. Honourable, first of all, congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you.
Did you see that coming? I mean, people say that there was a lot of lobbying involved, and I would tell you that among the sports fraternity, people were quite surprised to see your name. What's been the reaction like since yesterday?
Well, it's the same thing has occurred to me from many courtesies because they didn't expect that it should be me. I'm not one of the real faces of sports when it comes to even my political party, the National Democratic Congress. But you see, where the leader sits, he sees what everybody has. And depending on the agenda that he has as a leader, he will think that at this moment, this is the person that can do the trick. It's like a coach, a technical person sitting at the bench and watching a match. They do some substitutions. Sometimes you who have not followed the start of the game to the point of the substitution may not understand. But he has read the game and realized that, no, this is the person that when I take out and bring this one, the game will go the way I have always wanted to play it earlier that I'm not getting. So His Excellency the President knows what it is that he set out to do for the Sports and Recreation Ministry and feels that, well, I'm the best fit for that role now. And I've accepted it willingly. I've accepted a challenge. And I think that together with all stakeholders, when we have done with the vetting processes, we will engage and see how the vision of His Excellency the President will materialize.
And obviously, I don't want to preempt what will happen because you're yet to go through the vetting. So I want to focus a bit more on yourself. For those that don't know who you are or that you have an interest in sports, can you just tell us a bit more about your sporting interest?
Oh, well, I must say I have a diverse sporting interest. But of course, as a child growing up, my dad was a Hearts fan. And you see, the only time we got to oppose him was only the football hour. So almost all his kids turns up supporting Kotoko so that we could oppose him. And interestingly, when it gets to that time, then he'll be giving you assignments. The day Hearts doesn't do well against Kotoko, or even they are playing against any other team that we wish that they lose. When they lose, then expect a lot of assignments for you. So you cannot be together to tease him. So in one way or the other, that was how I became a Kotoko fan. But when you move out of Ghana, of course, Chelsea is being a dream team. Not forgetting that Man U too has hung there in one way or the other as the old lady that you wish well sometimes. And I really enjoy various forms of sport. But of course, boxing is the big one for me. I remember those times when we had the likes of Azuma, the I, Curtis, and then the rest boxing. You have to stay awake. And I will not sleep. Not that type of not sleep because you have drunk coffee or those kind of things. No. I will do things to keep awake just so to be able to watch from the beginning, from the base promotional fights all the way to the penultimate fight that will happen that night. And so boxing is for me the main thing. I've heard people say that because I said I love boxing, maybe I will ignore football. Or no, it's not going to be like that. Once confirmed, we want to see every aspect of sports grow. And together with the stakeholders like you, we will do it. I say sports is lucky. Sports is one thing that every day we get free mention on virtually every platform. So why are we not growing? Why are we not getting the right funding for sports? Is it the case that maybe we are not engaging those who are doing the meshing the way we should engage them so that the meshing will be appropriate? We need to sit together and see that so that we can utilize that free time that we get. We don't pay for it. All stations, sometimes a day, if you don't get maybe some 20-30 minutes, you will get it dedicated for sports. If you add morning, what happens in the morning and in the afternoons. So how can we put this together? to generate the necessary interest that will draw more love and more support to the sporting and recreational sector. So we will be sitting down after we go through the processes to see how we utilize this. And I know you guys are willing, because you all want that industry to grow. Because if it doesn't grow, you also don't grow. So with that understanding, I believe that we will sit together and then work things out to be able to grow.
One last one. I know that you obviously, once you go through the vetting and you take the office, you will assess the situation and see what's going on in the office and all of that. But since the announcement, or even the process leading to the announcement, what has been your preoccupation? What's been the thing that's occupied your mind a lot about the sports ministry that you think, you know what, in the last few hours since leading to the announcement, this is one thing that has consumed you a lot?
Well, I know there's been malnourished and funding in the sports industry, maybe except one area, except Black Stars. All others don't get the funding. So I've been thinking about how to get reliable, stable funding sources for all other sports, whilst we still do something for Black Stars, because it is the big thing. Whether we like it or not, that remains the big thing. So it must get its fair share of the funding. But even for that one to succeed very well in terms of long to medium term objective, we need to go back also to the grassroots sports. In terms of even the academicals and what have you, the inter-schools that we use, the school sports, we need to begin to look at it. And I will be sitting with my colleague, Minister for Education, once I get confirmed, for us to see even how we can reintroduce school sports and get the sports ministry to run school sports, whilst GES continue to teach the physical education as a subject in the classroom. But in terms of school sports, organizing it, the sports ministry can take up that responsibility, and we will engage and see how funding, when the GET fund is decapped, how a portion of the GET fund can be allocated into a sports fund to fund some of these activities. So talent hunting would come from. The reason why, from my observation, Black Stars takes a chunk of the budget is that we don't grow it from the base. Yeah. And because of that, we have not been able to build a strong local teams. We spend so much to bring our professionals from far away in terms of ticketing and even accommodation. And so you spend heavily on that and less on even equipment for their proper training. So if we invest in these grassroots sports, and we invest in our local sports, and we invest in our local teams and local league, and it becomes so competitive and strong, you can have a very reliable set of local players that can partner a strong pool, that you will not end up spending so much. So we are looking at this as long-term, but we will sit with those who run the sports, the stakeholders, and see the best way out. But these have been things that have preoccupied my mind. But immediately, the qualifying series for the World Cup will start in March, and so we must begin to think about where we will get money to finance those processes. So the GFA will have to bring their estimates, and when confirmed, and I will engage the Office of the Chief of Staff and others to make sure that funding is made available to pursue that project. That's one of the immediate projects that we would have to be pursuing. And this becomes very necessary also because we did not qualify for the African Cup, so we will not be having opportunity to even try our players. So we need to spend some time also putting them together to prepare them for these qualifiers. And so we will look at it and see what God does in this short term.
Obviously, the biggest thing for John Mahama's administration, the biggest promise that you made in your manifesto is that you are going to give allowances to Ghana Premier League players. A lot of people are thinking about that. And I'm glad that you mentioned the issue of funding, because that could potentially be the game changer. But is that something that is achievable?
Well, it's achievable. It's achievable. That's what I'm saying. When we all come together and discuss what we think has affected our various sports fields and the funding thing that I talk about, the next question that we will be answering will be, how do we put money in the fund to take care of all these situations that we think when it is done, it will help the industry grow. Yeah. So we'll see. I've suggested one way of the existing funds that we can take a percentage. There's this Assembly Common Fund also that has been funding some sports intervention facilities and what have you. Can we have it properly formalized so that another percentage also goes into that fund? Which other sources? The private sector that will be willing, if they know that they put in, they will get mentioned and they will get promoted and what have you. Will they come on board? So we will look at a lot of sources. Look, sports is big money for us. There's so much money to make from sports. And it's the initial investments that we need. Once we do that and the love comes around, there is a lot of economy around sports. A lot of economy, formal and informal economy around sports that this country will benefit from. So we have to start from somewhere. But I believe that we will do it together. It's not about me, it's not about His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, but it is about all of us. All of us must see it as our objective.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll leave you. Obviously, because